playing with dolls. The routine: teleport into the labyrinth, kill spiders, watch for the Demon Lord's location on the wisdom map. When she gets too close, teleport outside. Wait for her to receive an SOS from Mother and turn back toward the labyrinth. Teleport back in, kill more spiders. Repeat. It's the world's least fun game of tag, running on an indefinite loop. The exhaustion nullification skill exists precisely for situations like this. My body never gets physically tired, regardless of sleep deprivation. My spirit, on the other hand, is doing fine on 3 AM cat memes and the specific determination of someone who has been running away from things their entire second life and intends to keep going. The Demon Lord is not stupid. She figured out what I was doing and added 10 more puppet spiders to the board. 10 more. One was already ruining my week. 11 total is a philosophical statement about how the universe feels about me. 5 are hunting me outside. 6 are positioned in the labyrinth. I need to reduce these numbers before I'm cornered with nowhere left to teleport. I have a plan. It involves water. The puppet spiders have found me in a small dome-shaped room in the upper stratum. They believe they've cornered me. They have not thought through whether sealing off the only exit also seals them in. Earth magic. The exit closes. Spatial storage has been collecting seawater since my ocean adventure for exactly this reason. The swim skill cost an absurd number of skill points. My biological incompatibility with diving apparently registers as a fundamental design flaw, but I bought it anyway. I release the seawater. I stash the air. The room floods completely. It turns out puppet spiders can't swim. I confirmed this in advance with a small experiment. Captured a lesser taratect, tested it in the ocean, verified that it floated exactly as I do. Not a guarantee that puppet spiders would behave identically, but they're still fundamentally spiders. I won the bet. All 6 are pressed against the ceiling, buoyancy working against them, thread-wet limbs moving sluggishly, 6 sword control compromised by the water soaking into the mannequin joints. I'm at the bottom of the room with my low-level swim skill, using dark magic. Dark magic, I confirmed in the ocean, is entirely unaffected by water. It hits exactly as hard underwater as in open air. Something about the dark attribute considering physical constraints beneath its dignity. They fire back. My magic defense is high. I'm still taking significant damage. This is intentional. Puppet spiders with stats exceeding 10,000 could demolish this room if they thought to. A direct assault on the walls would bring the entire thing down. But they're panicking, they can't breathe, and there's a spider right there shooting at them. Of course they're shooting at the spider instead of the walls. I am the distraction. I am the bait. I take controlled hits of the air I stored, maintain consciousness, and watch the puppet spiders slowly run out of oxygen. Their movements slow, then stop. 6 puppet spiders, killed by the most embarrassing thing that has ever defeated a 10,000 stat monster. Drowning. I level up, multiple times. The 7th dies in the cave-in. I'd pre-weakened a different room with earth magic, just enough that hitting the walls would drop the entire structure. Lured the puppet spider in, filled it with water, teleported out of the room. Without a target to shoot at, the puppet spider logically tried to break out. The room collapsed exactly as designed. I teleported the buried puppet spider, dirt, rubble, and all, into the middle stratum magma pool. Then I went to check. It had survived. Somehow the earth I teleported with it had insulated it from the initial impact. Its entire mannequin shell was carbonized. The thread inside had burned away. It was lying in the magma, unable to move. I finished it off myself for the experience points. That's 7. The remaining 4 are traveling together now because the Demon Lord has stopped underestimating me. Grouped together, their search range is narrower. I can avoid them more easily while expanding my teleport destination network. The Demon Lord herself is still actively hunting me, but as long as I have Wisdom's map function and teleport, she can't catch me unless something goes catastrophically wrong. Meanwhile, Mother, using Wisdom's marking function for distance, Queen Taratect weakened, LV89, HP 6488/24557 max. All stats at approximately 1/4 of original values. My parallel minds have been eating her soul. That's worth pausing to appreciate. Stats and skills in this world are the power of the soul. Consuming someone's soul transfers their power. For every point Mother's stats have gone down, my stats have gone up correspondingly. Her 70% stat reduction is essentially a store closing sale where I'm the customer. Unprecedented discounts. Everything must go. Her stats are now lower than the puppet spider's. My magic attack and defense are above 19,000 and approaching 20,000. Speed is 13,000. I've broken 10,000 in another category. If a puppet spider chases me, I can outrun it on foot now. Actually, if I can beat a puppet spider in a fair fight, and Mother's stats are below puppet spider level, let's go fight Mother. Matricide, or the lesson I should have already learned. The bottom stratum is one enormous dome. No paths, just space, ceiling so high you can't see it with the naked eye, floor stretching in every direction. Mother was standing there. I had forgotten how large she is. The first time I saw her, the day I was born, I could only tremble. I'm not trembling now. I'm doing something more sophisticated, which is internally cataloguing the exact dimensions of her 8 eyes, each one the size of my whole body, and reminding myself that her stats are lower than mine, and I have this under control. Then my legs wouldn't move. The floor wasn't floor. It was thread, woven cloth pattern with divine thread weaving, and hidden with concealment skill, color and texture perfectly matching the ground. The moment I stepped on it, adhesive activated. I'd set hundreds of traps in my life. I'd beaten enemies who outclassed me entirely through nothing but preparation and resourcefulness. I thought that was my identity, and I walked into the oldest trap in the book. I cut off my own legs to escape, cutting thread through my own joints, and immediately lost a significant amount of HP from the self-injury. Healing magic on the stumps while using dimensional maneuvering to stay airborne. Then Mother opened her mouth. The satiation skill, inhale large amounts of air, create a suction effect. The catfish in the middle stratum had used something similar. I'd barely noticed it from the catfish. From Mother, the force was comparable to a typhoon. I was being dragged backward toward her mouth, whether I wanted to be or not. Wind magic to neutralize the suction. Repellent evil eye on myself to push away. The effort of resisting her pull meant I couldn't heal my legs. The suction stopped. That's worse. She fired the inhaled air back out as a compressed ball, using expel, just air, just ordinary air, but the mass of it hit like a meteor. The shockwave alone, without a direct hit, caused massive damage. Then the floor came off the ground. Then the ceiling came down. The entire room, floor, walls, ceiling, had been covered in thread. Everything was closing in simultaneously. I had nowhere to run. Black magic, useless. The thread didn't react. Teleport. I couldn't concentrate enough to build the rune with everything converging on me. Thread wrapped around me completely. I couldn't cut off a limb. There was nothing left to cut off that wasn't already surrounded. Rot attack on my scythe. Mother's thread resists my magic attack power of 18,000 without scratching, but rot cuts through it the way dull scissors cut through cloth. Slow. Painful. I put everything into it while Mother charged her breath attack. Then her foot came down. Something went crunch. My head was intact. My body was not. I floated my head with telekinesis, tried to use magic. Dragon barrier, Mother's dragon barrier, expanded to fill the entire room, was blocking spell construction. Even with height of occultism, complicated spells were impossible. Teleport was impossible. This was it. My life flashed before my eyes, which is a thing that apparently happens literally when you're a spider. Born, ran away from Mother and the sibling bloodbath. Made a home, ran when humans burned it down, fell into the lower stratum, ran from Araba, escaped to the middle stratum, got back to the upper stratum. Outside ran from Mother and the demon lord. That's most of it. Running. I didn't want to run. I wanted to be strong enough not to have to. But I was still running right up until I walked into this trap because I got confident. Araba died satisfied, knowing it had fought everything with everything it had. I always admired that about Araba. I'm nothing like that. I just kept running until I ran out of exits. But I'm not going down without making her remember me. At least, if she remembers me as a genuinely dangerous opponent who kept her on her toes until the end, then my life meant something. I like that attitude. The voice was parallel mind, former magic brain number 1. Where do you think Mother's stats went? Oh. Every point Mother lost, we gained. We were eating her soul. We've been getting stronger for the entire duration of this fight. All the parallel minds come back to me at once. The power that floods through me is... I'm not going to describe it precisely. The numbers can speak for themselves. My magic-related stats have jumped to approximately 3 times Mother's original values. I have skills I never had before. Divine thread weaving, dragon barrier, egg laying. I apparently copied the Queen of Spiders' entire skill set while her parallel minds were consuming her. Magic Brain number 1 sounds smugly delighted with herself. The threads binding me shred like paper. Mother's breath is met by a breath of my own, and mine wins. My legs grow back faster than I can track it. Mother is on the ground, trying to stand. Her huge legs aren't supporting her weight anymore. She can't get up. She was magnificent. Even in a weakened state, losing stats by the second as my parallel minds consumed her soul, knowing she was being eaten alive from the inside, she still fought. Set her trap, used every skill she had, nearly won. That's the same way I've survived every impossible fight I've ever been in. Never give up, no matter how bad it looks. Claw for victory until you find it. I didn't expect us to have that in common. Mother, your stats were impressive, of course, but that's not what I'll remember. What I'll remember is that you cornered me in your weakened state, using preparation and stubbornness. I'll never again dismiss an opponent as weaker than me. That's your first and last lesson to me. Goodbye. The parallel minds fire in unison. The most powerful creature in the Great Elro Labyrinth stops moving. My parents in my old world, I can't even remember their faces anymore. I was a bad daughter there too, probably. Detached family on both sides. I called this one Mother for the entire duration of my life here, and I don't think of her as a parent, exactly. What I feel as her body settles on the ground is something more complicated than grief, and less simple than satisfaction. It was a good fight, right up until the end. As the parallel minds return to me, I notice the count is wrong. Former body brain, magic brain number 1 says, went over to the Demon Lord. While the connection between Mother and the Demon Lord still existed, body brain used it to jump to the Demon Lord's soul and begin an attack. The connection is severed now. Body brain is over there, attached to the Demon Lord, cut off from me. Can she come back? Beats me, magic brain number 1 says. She probably can't. Farewell, former body brain. You were the bravest of us. The problem this creates, without a connection to the Demon Lord's network, I can't send parallel minds to attack her. The spiritual battle approach that worked on Mother isn't available, and even with Mother's power absorbed into me, the Demon Lord's stats averaged 90,000. Mine don't approach that. Whatever tricks I used against Mother will not work on the Demon Lord. Strategy remains, run. Administrators, reincarnation allies. You'll be punished later, Sophia reported cheerfully. Direct quote from Master. The other person, in the carriage that smelled of forest and a march towards someone else's destruction, expressed that there were too many possibilities for them to narrow down which one had earned the punishment. Maybe it's because you attacked Miss Oka. That was justified self-defense. Tell it to your master. Master would never listen. Then accept the punishment. I don't wanna. The hero and his friends have joined the group in the elf village, Sophia added, including Shun and Kanata. A pause. Interest. Kanata? That's what I said. I can't wait to see their faces. It's been so long. Then businesslike. But don't let that distract you. And don't underestimate Tagawa and Kushitani. They were adventurers, not sitting around a farm. Only somewhat strong. Remember what Master said. Stats aren't everything. A beat. Though the elf village is going down regardless, Master is coming after all. Then I'll finally get to rampage properly. I'm looking forward to watching. Demon Lord. She woke in the carriage, or rather, in the basket on the back of an arched taratect that served as her preferred transportation, because she was a Demon Lord and saw no reason to travel like a normal person when a dragon-class monster was available. The soldiers gave the arched taratect a wide berth. This was the correct decision. White was sitting across from her, eyes closed, sitting perfectly still. She sat like that most of the time. She might be sleeping, it was impossible to tell. She was the kind of person who could fall asleep standing up, and nobody would notice until she fell over. She looked fragile. She was strong enough to kill a hero without effort. You can't judge people by appearances, the Demon Lord thought, and then thought about herself, and decided that principle was universally applicable. The great garum forest outside the carriage window was green beyond reason, the kind of enormous old growth that made you feel like the trees had been watching things happen since before human kingdoms existed. The Imperial army was already at the barrier. Stalled, currently, the barrier had apparently never been broken in elf history, and the army wasn't getting through it on their own. But that was the point. Let the Imperial army hammer uselessly at the barrier while the Demon Lord's forces approached from a different angle. Once the barrier came down, and it would come down, the Imperial army would pour in, and in the resulting chaos, the Demon Lord's army would slide in from the side. The Queen Taratect, the one from the Great Garum Forest, had already been positioned. Triple threat: Imperial army, Demon army, Queen Taratect. The elves had never faced anything like it. She'd been waiting for this for a long time. The elves had been operating in the shadows for generations, pulling threads, manipulating outcomes, protecting their little reincarnation collection. Today, finally, she would exterminate them. And kill Potamus Harryfenus personally. "I can't wait," she said out loud without meaning to. White opened her eyes, or rather, White's attention turned toward her, which was functionally the same thing since her eyes had been closed. "You can rampage as much as you like, White. I'm going all out too." "Demon Lord," White said quietly, "the reincarnations are fine. I won't touch them. Only the elves, the soldiers know." She smiled. "Though even if the new hero tries something, I'll just knock him out without killing him. He's not really worth the effort." White's gaze held for a moment, then returned to its usual direction. "Just you wait, Potamus." "Chief of the Elves, the demon army is following the Imperial army." "I know," Potamus said without looking up. "You knew already? The Imperial army is the opening act. Prepare the Gloria." A longer pause. "At what activation ratio?" "All of it." "Sir, if you activate the Gloria at full capacity, if they're attacking with everything, we respond with everything. This is not a defensive situation. This is the chance I've been waiting for." His eyes, with a specific quality of old patience, turned to something sharper. Exterminate them without allowing any chance for escape. What of the hero and the reincarnations? They've served their purpose. They can die wherever they choose. A pause. "Come then, you foolish girl who drew the lot of Demon Lord. Let's see if you were right to challenge me." First encounter. The 4 remaining puppet spiders were easier to avoid now that they'd been consolidated. Smaller search radius, predictable movement. I kept expanding my teleport range while they weren't looking. No monsters near the roads. Fearbringer was doing its usual work of clearing a radius around me at all times, which was useful for not being ambushed and somewhat limiting for wanting to travel quietly. The monster exodus I created as I moved was still the most likely way the Demon Lord would track me. A carriage. 4 guards, 6 robbers. The numbers not quite balanced in the guard's favor. 1 guard went down while I was watching. I ran the internal calculation. Helping. 1 guard is already down, others will follow, probable fatalities on the carriage side. I feel responsible for outcomes I witness and don't act on. My moral compass from my previous life is apparently resilient to dying and reincarnation as a monster. Not helping. No witnesses to my continued existence. More food, simpler evening. The problem with not helping is that I have to live with the choice afterward. If I've learned anything from my previous life, it's that I'm profoundly bad at ignoring things I could have fixed. Fine. I came in from behind. The leader, highest stats, center of the group, died before he registered my presence. His 2 nearest companions died in the following half-second. Earth magic took down a third. Thread caught the last 2 before they could run, and the evil eyes drained the remaining 3 dry. 6 robbers, clean. Then the guards pointed their swords at me. Of course they did. I was a monster. I had just appeared from nowhere and killed 6 people in approximately 2 seconds. The appropriate reaction from humans who value their lives is exactly this. I'm just going to pretend I didn't notice how far back they stepped when I moved toward the fallen one. He was dressed like a butler, not a guard, serving someone else's master even when he wasn't trained for it. I appreciated the commitment. Healing magic. His wounds closed. If I was some kind of white knight, This would be the moment for a dramatic speech and a graceful exit while the lady of the carriage thanks me effusively. White knights are the worst. I am not a white knight. I am a spider who felt guilty about someone getting hurt in front of me and acted accordingly, and I would like to leave now before the awkwardness compounds itself. The lady climbed out of the carriage with a baby. I appraised the baby automatically, because I appraise everything, and the results stopped me in place. Sophia Karen, human vampire, LV1. And underneath that, in the field where secondary designations appear, Shouko Negishi, a Japanese name, in an appraisal field, in a world that doesn't have Japan. I knew what this was the moment the name appeared. A classmate, one of the reincarnations from my original world, born here as a baby vampire with a second name still attached. 75,000 skill points at level 1 because she arrived with everything she'd earned before, same as the rest of us. The lady holding the baby was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. The baby, Sophia, looked at me with eyes that didn't know anything yet. Shouko Negishi. I remembered her. Quiet, observant, a little difficult to approach. I don't think we were close. I wondered who else I'd failed to be close to in the life before this one, that I'd cross paths with again in this one. This was the day I first met another reincarnation in person.